You know, with just how many new sneakers come out in the basketball, tennis, and just court shoe space every year, it is actually pretty rare to see a completely new and original idea come to the stage. And in the case of the Under Armour Flow line, specifically these ones, the Flow FUTR X, that's exactly what Under Armour has done over the last few years. But does that new and novel idea actually translate into better performance? Let's cut into it and find out. Hey, what's up? Zach here. And you know, the Flow FUTR X to me has really been a conundrum just looking at it online. I've been just dying to get my hands on a pair of Flow shoes from Under Armour. Now, if you don't know, Flow is a combined midsole and outsole. What Under Armour has done is found a way to make this polymer and elastomer compound that actually creates a midsole and outsole that's continuous. So there is no rubber. What that does is on average saves about 2 ounces of weight per shoe, which is actually pretty good when you consider the weight of basketball shoes. But the story Under Armour tells is that when Steph Curry was checking out some of the Under Armour running shoes and saw how well they gripped on a hardwood court, he said he wanted to have a pair of basketball shoes made with the same technology. Now, sneaker designers for a specific sport borrowing technology from another is not a rare occurrence. It does happen all the time. But my biggest question is, because Under Armour Flow Foam was designed for running, which does not have a lot of inherent shear or side-to-side friction on a shoe, will all the benefits of Flow Foam for a runner really translate into basketball, given that Steph Curry did use these on a perfectly well-maintained indoor hardwood court, and sometimes the courts that you and I are playing on don't really match that level of quality underfoot. But before I get into all the compounds and materials that actually make up Flow Foam, I do want to start in the uppers, just because Under Armour has made such a huge effort to make everything in this shoe as light as possible so that the uppers can complement the lighter midsole-outsole combination. Now, the one thing you don't see is a lot of toe dragging protection up here, so you really tell these are made for indoor use, whether you're basketball, pickleball, badminton, or playing tennis on a carpet or more rubberized court. But my favorite part of the Flow FUTR X uppers has got to be the dorsal midfoot strap. I think this is just a great addition to any shoe. That way you're not completely relying on the shoelaces to give you stability. I think it's a great idea. Babolat in the tennis space also does this really well, and Reebok used to do this too. But what I really like about the dorsal midfoot strap is that it does hook into the shoelaces as well. So when you tie the shoelaces and then pull the strap, you are getting a little bit of extra arch support, and that's really important on the Flow FUTR X, because when you put them down like this, as you can see, they do kind of lean in medially. They do lean toward the inside of your foot, so you are kind of put in more of a foot flat position, and we'll talk about it in a little bit, but you do kind of need that dorsal strap just to kind of hold your arch up a little bit more. And as you can see here on the upper durability test of the Dremel 10 seconds highest grit sandpaper, the Dremel just bites right through that mesh upper, so if you are someone that really is an extreme toe dragger on your shoes, this might not be the most durable pair for you. Now, the uppers also have this TPU bumper guard here on the lateral side, the outside, to give you more ankle sprain protection. What I really like about that is it only goes where you need it. Only really goes right around where those ankle ligaments would be in trouble, and then it stops. And that's what really makes these shoes a lot more comfortable, because the fit of the Under Armour Flow FUTR X is one of the most comfortable fitting shoes I've put on this year. They are a little bit more wide in the forefoot in their true size. The mesh is really forgiving, and the dorsal strap really doesn't bother me like I thought it would, and I even have a pretty high arch foot, but it really is unobtrusive. And underfoot, that Flow Foam does feel pretty significant. That combined with the lighter uppers really does give you a nice plush feeling in these. Just a super comfortable ride. One of the more comfortable fitting shoes out there. Honestly, a pretty good shoe just for kicking around as well. However, if you are someone that does suffer from overpronation and has pain with that, these may not be the greatest shoes on earth. That dorsal retention strap here does hold up the arch a little bit better. These are better than I thought they would be when I first put them down. I saw them sneak in. However, I would say if you are an overpronator, make sure you do have an orthotic in these. And if that doesn't get you where you need to go, if you're still having a little bit of issues, then I'd probably just look for another shoe. Now, getting into the Flow Foam midsole and outsole, I actually do the treads as a separate section in this video. But Flow Foam is made of an olefin block copolymer. Now, what olefin block copolymers or polyolefin copolymers are in English is it's an elastic and more plastic compound made into one mesh, with some silicone rubber mixed in. Now, what that's gonna do is that's gonna give you a very high resistance to compression. What you can do when you make a midsole with these kind of materials, elastomers and polastomers, basically elastic and plastic compounds, is you can actually dial in how much compression a foam can take and how much rebound it can make just because of the makeup of those types of materials. And in addition to that, these also have another chemical that's added into the mixture to give them even more resistance to abrasion. So it's all those things that kind of combine together that make this a midsole plus outsole foam. And you can really tell what kind of spring back these shoes have on the serve jump height test. 34.1 centimeters of serve height, which is the #2 shoe I've tested throughout this channel, only second to the Nike GP Turbo. And that is because of that higher compression set. These shoes just do not bottom out really fast. And when you put a lot of force into them, a lot of that potential energy, it just responds with a ton of kinetic energy. You can just see me doing it right here, jumping with the shoe just in my hands. And the neat thing about the flow foam is when it finally comes out and it's molded and has the tread stamp on it, because it's just one big piece of foam, you can actually make the shape of the outsole tread into pretty much anything you want, and you can get a little bit of a different pattern than you can with just a standard rubber overlay. And in the case of flow foam, the outsole tread itself is actually more of a concentric ring pattern. You can see the ring come out of here, a ripple coming out of here, and a ripple coming out of the heel. Now what that does is that is supposed to allow you to have more fluid movement from one step to the next, because there's no harsh break points in the shoe. And what I found with this smoother rippling tread pattern is it relies on increased surface area to give you stability on the court. Now, what I did find is the better maintained the court surface, the better these shoes performed. Playing on really pristine hardwood, these are going to grip exceptionally well, better than most actually. And if you're on a well-maintained outdoor court with a little more grit in the paint, these are going to grip that paint exceptionally well. Now, if the hardwood's a little bit dustier, not as well maintained, or if the paint is a little slicker, has some dew on it, or is just in need of a repaint job, these are going to start to slide a little bit. However, if you look at the suicide test, 14.84 seconds, which for an outdoor court on an indoor shoe is actually pretty good. This is a little bit more medium to high grit of a surface. However, as you see, these shoes work quiet as a mouse and took turns really well. So even for an indoor shoe on an outdoor court, you can still really rely on them as long as the surface isn't really slick or that paint is really starting to wear thin. And in my opinion, the most important part of this video, the outsole durability test, the Dremel 10 seconds highest grit sandpaper, only about 2 millimeters of damage, which is just as good, if not better, than a lot of the other basketball shoes in the space right now. So these did do really well with the Dremel. The only bad thing is the tread depth on these is really only around 3 millimeters. So even at that pretty good 2 millimeters of damage at that depth, you're almost bottoming out here. But overall playability wise, these are best for players that really like to play low to the ground, people that play basketball or tennis, pickleball, whatever, with a very deep knee bend, people that like to kind of feel the ground because of the surface area contact of these shoes. If you are someone that kind of prowls the court, whether on basketball, if you really pride yourself being able to kind of dig for a ball, kind of get around your opponent in more tight circles, then yeah, these shoes are fantastic. If you're someone that plays pickleball or tennis on an indoor type surface, you're someone that really likes to stalk the court and really get low and dig for wide balls, these are really going to do well. These also are really good for disguising your movement because they are so quiet. You really can prowl the court. People can't hear the shoes moving. So when you're kind of shuffling either around someone on a basketball court or even on a tennis court, these really do very well at kind of disguising your movements. But honestly, the FUTR X's really were a surprising shoe to me in a lot of ways. Number one, I thought that the midsole outsole foam combo was an absolute gimmick. I didn't think that was going to have any abrasion resistance, and the Dremel test really proved me wrong. I also didn't think these were going to give me a ton of performance on an outdoor court, and just the play test and just reviewing them outside really proved me wrong too. But the one thing I will say is even though these do play outstanding, even on an outdoor court, they are going to wear down a little bit faster on these outdoor courts with the high grit just because of the low tread depth. So if you are going to buy these, unless you don't care about buying a new pair a lot, I would buy these for more indoor play. And if you're looking for a genuine opinion from a foot doctor with zero financial interest in these shoes, I'll tell you, my community is building a brand new community center with indoor hardwood courts, indoor rubberized pickleball and tennis courts. And the shoes that I chose to go kind of mess around in there, kind of my dedicated indoor shoes, was these. But of course, I want to know what you think in the comments down below. Are you willing to try a shoe with this kind of new technology and something where you're really not getting a dedicated rubber outsole? Make sure you leave me a comment down below and let me know. Remember, like I said in this video, just because I like these shoes a lot for my foot type doesn't mean they are good for every foot type. So make sure you go back into the fit section and make sure that these might be something that really match up with your foot before you go and try them. Now, if you want to see some of the other brand new shoes of 2021, make sure you click into the playlist up above and subscribe down below. Respect your rubber and foam. We'll see you in the next video.